Hi, Jerry Venz. Today I'm going to show you what a gobo is and how I use it to create my art. Most photographers have never even heard of what a gobo is. I'm not familiar with it because in the early 80s I did motion picture work and worked on a bunch of independent films, and we learned the tools of the trade. A gobo is anything placed between the subject and the light. Gobos can be used to reflect light. Examples are white, silver, which you're all familiar with these, they're basic tools of the trade, or possibly gold. Gobos can be used to soften light. Example of that would be a silk. I'm using one here. This is just a plain silk to soften the light. In filmmaking and in photography, we may use a one-stop or a two-stop silk to reduce the overall level of light. Another use for a gobo would be to create a pattern. One of the historical uses of a gobo was using a cucaloris. Now, cucalorises, or cucalori, were boards cut with random holes and shapes to create a pattern. They shine a light through onto a wall and create this shadowgram effect. The most important use for a gobo to me is to use one to block light. For that, we're usually using a black object. It could be a flag, it could be what we call a finger, it could be a dot. Examples include just over my camera lens, using a black piece of Letromex. I cut, put it on my Matthews arm, shade the lens because we're often out at sunset, and we'll get flare in the lens. So I don't use reflectors outside for the same reason I don't use flash, because 1 hour or 2 hours before sunset, the issue isn't that there's not enough light, there's too much light. So what we're using is gobos, or black flags, to block ambient light on one side of the subject's face to create a direction, a pattern of light. I'll do an example here with one of my 42-inch flag. Now you can probably see the pattern of light happening on my face. Right now it's probably going to be pretty much split lighting because we have light on one side, reflector on the other side. Now if I turn my face towards the light, which is often what we do in photography, it's called short lighting. Now we're starting to see this cheek and creating a three-dimensional value. And that's the essence of photography, is to create that three-dimensionality, which is lacking in a two-dimensional print. I learned the subtractive light technique in environmental portraiture from Leon Kennemer many years ago. He was a master of subtractive lighting in an outdoor environment. He would use several black flags to block light from the side of the subject's face as well as overhead, which eliminates raccoon eyes. I modified his technique to use environmentally on location without using these flags because we had big problems with wind in many locations. So I'd use the natural environment to subtract light from my subject's face outside. It's a much more subtle effect than here in the studio using flags. The shadows are softer, but you still have the three-dimensionality. To see this technique demonstrated in an on-location portrait session, go see some of the videos that I've already posted on YouTube. Stick around, I'm going to upload more videos soon because I want to teach you how to sculpt with shadows.